I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, November the 26th, 2014. Israel's Interior Ministry yesterday revoked the Israeli residency of the wife of one of the Palestinian terrorists responsible for the Har Nof synagogue attack last week that left 4 Jewish worshippers and a policeman dead and several wounded. Nadia Abu Jamal was allowed to live in Israel under the family unification law because her husband was a permanent resident. Israel's Interior Minister Gilad Erdan said after the decision that everyone who is involved in terror needs to take into account the effects it could have on family members as well. And thousands of people took part in a memorial service last night for the victims of the attack. The service marked the end of the Shiv'ah, the 7-day Jewish mourning period. And the Anti-Defamation League today asked the government of Jordan to distance itself from actions by Parliament and Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour, which seem to condone the terror attack at the synagogue. The ADL wrote a letter to Jordanian ambassador to the U.S., Dr. Alia Hattoug Buran, expressing deep concern at reports that the Jordanian parliament held a moment of silence and recited a prayer for the 2 Palestinian terrorists who carried out the deadly attack in Har Nof, and that the Prime Minister sent a letter of condolence to the families of the terrorists. ADL National Director Abe Foxman said the action appears to condone terrorism against innocent Israeli citizens. He said this approach is completely inconsistent for a country at peace with Israel and should be acknowledged by the Jordanian government as such. A gag order was lifted yesterday on the death of an Israeli construction worker who died 2 months ago in an 11-story fall at a building site in Petah Tikva where he was rappelling making repairs. The fall was first thought to be accidental. It now is thought to have been intentional. The family of 27-year-old Netanel Arami has maintained all along that their son was murdered for nationalistic reasons, and security forces in Israel now say they are treating the incident as a terror attack. The Arami family has been formally recognized by police as victims of terror and will receive compensation. The European Union has decided to postpone a vote to recognize a Palestinian state, which was supposed to take place tomorrow. The vote was postponed over the wording of the resolution and will now take place on December the 18th. The postponement was requested by center-right party, the European People's Party, who want to condition recognition of a Palestinian state on first reaching a 2-state solution through peace talks with Israel. And the EU Observer reported this week that Denmark will vote on recognizing a Palestinian state in January. The first debate on that motion will be held December the 11th. Meanwhile, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy urged members of his party to vote against a similar resolution set to take place in France December the 2nd. French news agency AFP reports that Sarkozy told members of his party yesterday, "I will fight for the Palestinians to have their state, but unilateral recognition a few days after a deadly attack and when there is no peace process, no," referring there to the Har Nof synagogue terror attack last week. Israel opposes any unilateral actions on the part of the Palestinians and maintains that the only way to a 2-state solution and a true and lasting peace is through direct negotiations between the Palestinians and Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday warned that European recognition of a Palestinian state was a big mistake. Netanyahu said, "I think these European positions actually push peace away. It encourages the Palestinians to harden their positions, not to compromise on mutual recognition, not to compromise on the things that are needed to achieve genuine security." The Jerusalem Post reports that the High Court in Johannesburg ruled against BDS South Africa yesterday, banning the movement from protesting in Woolworth stores. BDS, or Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions activists, have been protesting in the South African retailer over 3 Israeli products that the store sells: pomegranates, figs, and pretzels. Woolworths decided to take the matter to court, they said, in order to protect their customers and staff. Last month, a student body placed pigs' heads in what they thought was the kosher section of a Woolworth store in Cape Town. The incident was initially supported by BDS on social media, but then backtracked after it was discovered that the pigs' heads were actually placed in the halal section of the store, which also upset the Muslim community. It was after that incident that Woolworths decided to take legal action. Yesterday's court order prevents members of BDSSA from organizing, coordinating, or encouraging any form of protest action inside the Woolworths stores. And turning now to our programming for tonight, Wednesday, November the 26th. At 8 o'clock, Rabbi Joshua Davidson of Temple Emmanuel discusses security concerns in a digital age with Dan Bloomberg of Ben-Gurion University and Matthew Levitt of the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. That is from a Jewish Week event from Temple Emmanuel's Skirball Center in New York City. And then at 9 tonight, actor Henry Winkler joins Mark S. Golub on L'Chaim. That's tonight on JBS and jbstv.org. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, November the 26th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader. I will be back on Monday after the Thanksgiving holiday. Happy Thanksgiving and an early Shabbat Shalom.